It's curious to note that despite his impressive physical stature and numerous appearances in the boxing ring, Logan Paul has yet to secure a single victory. Many have hailed him as one of the top YouTube boxers, but upon closer examination, it becomes apparent that his reputation may be somewhat inflated. It's important to consider the lack of wins as a reflection of his skills, fighting strategy, and mental approach to the sport. In essence, while Logan Paul may have garnered attention, his performance thus far suggests that there's still much room for improvement and development in his boxing journey. Let's delve into the intricacies of boxing, where the way one fights often mirrors their mindset and personality. When it comes to Logan Paul, it's evident that his approach to the sport differs greatly from that of his brother and other opponents. His demeanor in the ring is notably less aggressive, a trait that's hard to miss. It's apparent that Logan's motivation for stepping into the ring stems more from the lucrative nature of the sport rather than a genuine passion for the adrenaline rush of combat. This inclination towards business over brawling can be observed consistently throughout Logan's career. Take, for instance, his collaboration with KSI for their drink venture. While the narrative of former adversaries turned allies makes for a compelling marketing angle, it's clear that Logan's primary focus is on expanding his brand and capitalizing on commercial opportunities, rather than proving himself athletically.
Yeah, I think I've retired from boxing. I think I've done enough in the sport, going fully undefeated at 25-0. So yeah, I'm gonna be a wrestler now.
As a result of this mindset, Logan often finds himself succumbing to pressure and anxiety during competitive events. It's simply not in his nature to thrive under such circumstances. This aspect permeates his entire fighting style. In the ring, Logan tends to adopt a defensive stance, preferring to react to his opponent's actions rather than instigating attacks himself. A closer examination of his fights reveals a pattern. He avoids prolonged exchanges and instead opts for clean, precise counterstrikes. Anything resembling a messy brawl is of little interest to him. Let's take a closer look at one particular instance where Logan Paul deviated from his usual defensive stance: his bout against Floyd Mayweather. In this encounter, Logan's decision to launch an aggressive attack stemmed from a desire to showcase his offensive capabilities and earn Mayweather's respect. However, his approach appeared unfamiliar and disjointed, as Logan seemed more focused on the aesthetics of his actions rather than inflicting meaningful damage. What's particularly notable is Logan's reluctance to target Mayweather's body or head during his offensive flurry. This tactical oversight only served to exacerbate his predicament, as Mayweather quickly discerned that Logan posed little threat. This incident encapsulates a fundamental issue with Logan's approach to boxing. He views it primarily as a form of performance rather than a means to assert dominance over his opponent. This inclination towards spectacle over substance is perhaps best exemplified by Logan's success in the world of professional wrestling. In this realm, where the art of theatrics and engaging with the audience reign supreme, Logan thrives. His ability to flawlessly execute maneuvers and captivate crowds makes him feel right at home. Wrestling legends often praise his keen wrestling intelligence, yet it's widely acknowledged that his boxing acumen falls far short, even by beginner standards. Logan Paul identifies himself as a counter-striker, a tactic he consistently employs in all of his bouts. Rather than taking the initiative, he prefers to remain stationary, patiently awaiting the opportune moment to launch a counterattack, relying heavily on his athleticism to execute this strategy. While Logan possesses impressive reflexes and speed, his approach lacks the finesse typically associated with skilled counter-strikers. A prime example often cited is Conor McGregor, renowned for his mastery of the counterpunch. McGregor's stance, hand positioning, and subtle movements are meticulously calibrated to bait opponents into delivering specific strikes, which he then expertly counters. Even in defeat, opponents have attested to the swiftness and precision of McGregor's counterattacks. However, Logan Paul seems to lack the same level of awareness when it comes to setting traps and employing feints. Instead, he remains stationary, occasionally shifting his weight or adjusting his glove in a bid to alleviate tension while awaiting an opportunity to strike back. Consequently, he underutilizes his jab and fails to leverage his reach advantage, merely attempting to disrupt the opponent's rhythm rather than dictating the pace of the fight. Logan's physical attributes suggest that he should capitalize on techniques such as the postman combination, a staple in Ukrainian boxing known for its effectiveness in closing the distance and setting up power shots. Yet, he neglects to utilize his backhand effectively, relying predominantly on his lead hand. This reluctance to fully exploit his arsenal becomes glaringly apparent when faced with pressure from opponents. In his first bout against KSI, despite a significant size advantage, Logan found himself unable to effectively counter JJ's relentless pressure. Instead, he resorted to panicked attempts to land left hooks while retreating, often finding himself backed against the ropes. This defensive vulnerability echoes the career trajectory of former UFC champion Luke Rockhold, who, despite his athleticism, fell victim to opponents who capitalized on his susceptibility to pressure. Michael Bisping's victory over Luke Rockhold is a classic example of fate intervening in a fight. Bisping's well-timed check hook caught Rockhold off guard, leading to a knockout. Subsequently, Rockhold faced further knockout losses, highlighting a vulnerability in his defense. Similarly, Logan Paul has encountered similar issues, albeit with the stroke of luck in his favor. Against KSI, he managed to avoid a devastating knockout punch, and Floyd Mayweather, perhaps out of choice, refrained from exploiting this weakness. However, these close calls could have been avoided if Paul had been more proactive in his movement and engagement during fights. Paul's potential shines brightest when he's on the move, showcasing impressive footwork and a sharp jab. He demonstrates an understanding of distance management, often employing combinations like the double jab to maintain control. Yet, his downfall occurs when he reaches the exchange phase, where he tends to freeze up and fail to capitalize on openings. This is where he could benefit from implementing combinations like the 1-2 sequence to capitalize on his opponent's vulnerabilities. Despite these shortcomings, Paul exhibits flashes of defensive prowess. When moving laterally, he's quick to deploy a check hook to deter opponents from pursuing or cutting angles, and he consistently keeps a high guard when moving to the right, effectively protecting his chin. His clinching game is also worth noting, as he utilizes it to tie up opponents and deliver effective inside strikes, such as the underrated uppercut that floored KSI. It's clear that Logan's approach to the sport is more aligned with business and spectacle rather than a genuine passion for the craft of boxing. His defensive style and tendency to rely on counter-striking indicate a reluctance to fully engage with opponents and assert dominance in the ring. While he exhibits moments of brilliance, particularly in his footwork and defensive maneuvers, his inability to capitalize on openings and lack of assertiveness ultimately hinder his success in the sport. As Logan Paul continues his boxing journey, it's evident that there's still much room for growth and improvement. Whether he chooses to prioritize his commercial endeavors or commit to honing his skills as a boxer remains to be seen. However, one thing is certain: until he can translate his potential into tangible victories, his reputation in the boxing world will continue to be questioned. And that's a wrap for today's analysis. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep punching.